I wanted to create a video on a Bloomberg article related to a fatal Tesla crash. Now I'm trying to figure out how I want to create videos on this channel, like what kind of content I want to make. So I think it's going to alternate between creating content about my favorite stocks as well as stocks that I see with potential or really cool technology, things like that. But also I want to like make content about disingenuous mainstream media articles or news headlines that are clearly biased and represent attacks on great companies, whether it's Tesla or HIMS, you name it. There's all sorts of stuff out there. These institutions have lost all credibility. And so when I start to see these articles, instead of, complaining about it on X or, whatever it is, being a reply guy on X, I'm going to do my best to create a quick video addressing the issue, the article, the headline, and if applicable, I'm going to basically like do like a video community note because it's out of control, and I think there's an opportunity for many to kind of go in on this space because like Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, New York, the New York Times, they're not real publications anymore. They're purveyors of misinformation, and they put out these headlines because that are false and misleading because they know that the majority of the population doesn't actually read these articles. So they're kind of taking advantage of the majority of the population who don't have time to either look into these articles or they want to look at the headline only and kind of figure out what's going on instead of spending that time. So they kind of take advantage of that little weird dynamic there. So anyways, let's go into this Bloomberg article, which says that a fatal Tesla crash shows the limits of full self-driving. Now, this article is about a crash from 2023 when the driver was using version 11 of full self-driving. And you can see that right here. This happened between Flagstaff and Phoenix in November 2023. And these journalists, these so-called journalists, put this out on June 4th, 2025. Now, clearly, there is some bias and manipulation going on because Tesla is about to roll out their new full self-driving robo-taxi product on their Model Y and maybe some other vehicles in Austin, Texas. Now, it's going to take a little time for that business to scale, but a lot of companies are terrified of that because it's really going to, over time, blow up the ride-hailing business. And people will say, "Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. Waymo's already way better." I'm not saying Waymo isn't going to do well. I'm just saying that this is a big disruption to both legacy auto, like gas-powered cars, and existing ride-hail companies like Uber and Lyft. So whether they're working in unison with mainstream media or mainstream media is just doing these hit pieces because they hate Elon, it really doesn't matter. They're just straight up lying and making things up to try to disparage a great company in Tesla before they release one of their coolest products ever. So again, you can see this is back from November 2023. I don't want to downplay someone getting killed. Like, this is terrible, right? But we need to make sure we're addressing the actual facts here, and this is just wrong. Now, I actually, if you go peruse my videos, I in the past, just for fun, when I was starting out making videos, I made some really pretty terrible full self-driving videos. Like, they're not well put together, and I'm still learning this whole thing. But if you go back into my videos from a year or two ago, you can see me using full self-driving version 11, and the car drives me up from Custer, South Dakota to the top of Mount Rushmore. Now, I remember those drives. It was both exhilarating, amazing, and terrifying because at the time, full self-driving wasn't close to being perfected, but it was still doing that. But there were certain times where whether in those videos or outside of those videos where I had to disengage and take over because it made a mistake. But that is so far gone compared to where the new full self-driving is in 13. I believe it's 13.29 now, and newer versions that could be rolling out soon in the next couple of weeks or the next month. So really disingenuous article. I just wanted to get this out here, kind of be just a critical counter news um, proponent, because in my opinion, I think mainstream news outlets, when they put out stuff like this, not only are they being disingenuous in manipulating public opinion, because a lot of people now believe and are terrified of Teslas after reading this article, they're just destroying society because there's no trust in publications that put out false information and then accuse everyone of misinformation. So this is going to be my attempt to, I always say the mainstream media must be destroyed, and I don't know how to do that other than just throwing up a video, just really dismantling everything about their false articles. So I hope you enjoyed this quick clip. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.